Well, welcome, my friends, to the show that has finally come to an end. A bit surprised it went on for so long, actually, playing that style of football, but there we go. Doesn't Mourinho normally get sacked playing this sort of style of football, Kieran?
Well, and not winning trophies.
And not winning trophies. Or was this a success? Maybe we see this as a success. We got to the final and got truly beaten.
I'm not sure people will consider it as truly beaten, but people need to think in the bigger picture, won't they?
You see, let's make this clear. I'm not on here to complain or moan.
But we're going to.
But we're going to, because we've done it from the beginning. We haven't just sort of seen, build a statue of Gareth and he deserves it. Great, haven't we done so well? Let's make this clear. Gareth Southgate took a look at all the teams that have won in previous years, not going back too far, and he decided the best way to win games was to keep the ball out of your own net, was to defend, get 1-0 up and sit on it. That was his style of football. That's Mourinho's style of football, and people moan because they don't enjoy watching it. How many games can we honestly say out the 7 have we really enjoyed and thought we've seen flair, seen excitement, seen that? For goodness sake, look at the names on that sheet list, player list. For goodness sake, look at those names. And yet we get the goal in 2 minutes and then back we come. Do you know how many shots or how many touches Harry Kane had in the 18-yard box during that match? Any ideas?
I'm going to say 1.
That was the penalty kick.
Oh.
That was it. That was it. For goodness sake, we're in the final. We should be trying to win. The average Italian shots during this tournament, was 27 per game, I think, on average.
Yeah.
What were ours? Do you know how many shots our forwards had
in that game?
Yeah.
None.
Absolute 0. 4 shots from defenders. We say shots. They were actually headers from corners. They were all from corners, the attacking, other than one, which was the goal after 2 minutes, which caught Italy completely offside. And then we had 1 from midfielder. Can't remember his name. Phillips. Apart from that, that was it. And we were in a final with those players. I think that was England's biggest chance for ever of winning something. And we've just thrown it away. And that isn't going to turn up fast again. There you go. That's my rant. All right?
I know we could be ranting the whole time. But I just thought we'd make it clear that we're not on here to be like, oh, I told you so, because we told you this was going to happen before. It was just that most people were saying this, but then kind of saying, oh, but we are still getting through, so it's kind of okay. Whereas after 7 games, and after games against teams that you should beat regardless of the style of football we play, considering the players we've got, you come up against a team who actually have a bit of tactics surrounding them and a manager who has a bit of bottle about him. We were going to get found out, and we did pretty well as well. The fact that we didn't have, Mason Mount didn't exist in that game, how Harry Kane didn't exist in that game, how when Grealish came on, he didn't exist. It was just like a once in a lifetime opportunity, because France and Portugal aren't going to get knocked out that easily again.
No.
And next time we're going to have Brazil, Argentina to deal with as well.
it sort of struck me that first half an hour was England's. That game was for the taking. 1-0 up. Lucky, not lucky. Well, I mean, the first minute of a game counts as much as any other minute. Agreed. But we caught them. Yeah. And we'd got half an hour where we were, I think, probably the better team. Or at least they didn't look good for that half an hour. We had a chance then to go and get the game. And none of our forwards took a shot.
It's because we watch teams week in, week out, Liverpool, Man City, who blow teams away in the first half an hour of games when the other team are either least expecting it or are just so shell-shocked to the time that they can't deal with it. We could have gone 3-0 up in the first half an hour. Like, it's so easy to say that, but not even necessarily go 3-0 up, but you could have put so much more pressure on them than we did, and that pressure is going to count for something later on. And the goal we scored was exactly the style of football that we should have been playing.
Yes.
It was a fantastic counter-attack. That's what it should have been the whole time. Because in the first half an hour, their left-back did not exist. Trippier had so much space over there the whole time. And we just didn't utilise.
The trouble is, it wasn't the players that he picked, necessarily. It is the style of football he chooses to play is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just, we have all those players, and yet a lot of them will be either going into their prime or have been in their prime. And I don't want it to be wasted playing that style of football at a major tournament where we go, oh, well, that's progress made. Because at the end of the day, if you hadn't made progress on what was done before by getting through the last 16 and beating Iceland, if we hadn't made progress on that, then flipping heck, we're just another crappy country who make up the numbers.
We are, aren't we?
We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. That's the thing.
The worn out record is, well, we'll take something away from this. We will learn.
What, in 2 years' time?
Don't you hear that all the time? That is, no, you lost. And we cannot take things away from that other than we lost. And we lost because we chose the wrong sort of football. Now, you could say we would have lost playing what I think is the right sort of football. I mean, isn't this what Mr. Oxford manager did against Wickham when what we're doing when he spoke about, but we were a far better team and, know, and Wickham aren't very good at football. And are we doing that a little bit in saying,
potentially
we could be better?
Potentially, but even, we were speaking last night, even Wickham play more exciting football than England do. And that's just a fact. Like, some of the chances we create, there's an evident direction with what Wickham are trying to do and what positions we're trying to get into to try and score our goals. England's, you get the one goal and then that is it. You don't go for a second. And I guess we kind of are being a bit like the Oxford manager who had to go at our style of play. But then you make the best out of the players you've got. That style of football does not get the best out of the players we have. You can't tell me that parking the bus, playing Mourinho-style football, is the way to get the best out of Grealish, out of Sterling, out of Foden, out of Sancho, Rashford. Like, Sancho and Rashford, the only thing they did in that tournament was miss a penalty at the end. And that's not particularly their fault. But they're two so exciting footballers. Sancho's just gone to United for 75 million. He's gone to United for 75 million for a reason, and yet he sat on the bench the whole time, whilst Mason Mount gets to play on the left wing. He's not a winger.
No. Well, he wasn't in there.
He wasn't in the game.
But he wasn't there to do much, was he?
No.
That wasn't his job. And in the end, we argued about what Kane was like the first two games? Was it the style of football that didn't suit him? Blah, blah, blah. I did finally come to the end thinking, yes, A, this isn't his style of football, but B, if I took over as England manager, he wouldn't be in my team.
No. Because, I mean, it's difficult to say because we didn't get the opportunity to see anyone else in his position. But you would have been more scared of Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
I wouldn't put him in either, but I wouldn't. Well,
you changed the style in general.
Yes,
wouldn't you?
yes.
Yeah, maybe Jamie Vardy.
I've said before, but I'd pick the Liverpool bloke. The Leeds guy up front.
Bamford. Yeah.
Something that bounces around up there and causes grief. On that, well, we'll come to number 9s in a minute of the tournament. We've had our little rant about England and Gareth's style, and let's be blunt about this, we're still going to have to put up with that crap football, playing that style of football, beating little teams such as the islands off of Sicily, and everybody saying what a great job he's done. 1-0, by the way, and then hanging on. But then we'll come to the penalties. People were making comments about who he chose and when. I'll have mine and then all yours. And mine is, I think it's daft bringing players on to take a penalty.
Yep.
Before they've even kicked a ball. They need warming up with a football. And second, Saka taking the 5th penalty. I thought about this and think, if he's in the England team and he can play for the first 11, he's an England player that plays in their first team. Full stop. Forget his age. Doesn't matter whether you miss at 19 or 21. Either you're right to take it or you're not. If you don't have the gumph to take it, well, maybe you shouldn't be playing for England.
I'd probably disagree because regardless of who they're playing for, what their age is, he's still 19. He's younger than me, and I get nervous taking a penalty on FIFA. So,
what about it? Yeah, but
I know he's plays for England. I know he's paid and he's professional, etc., etc. But he's gonna have that world coming down on top of him.
Any of them will.
Maybe, but I think an older player would be able to deal with that a bit better. There's a reason why Kane and Maguire scored. Like, it's not like Maguire is a better penalty taker than Saka is, more than likely. I'd say that there has to be a thing where the experience of players comes into a bit more. You know, there was Bukayo Saka's first ever penalty he's ever taken in professional football.
Was it?
He's never taken one.
Right, okay, well, that's poor bloke.
I mean,
that's it for life, isn't it? Maybe he'll make a good England manager in years to come, and they can keep showing that over and over and over until he can finally get to a final and give it to somebody who else is going to miss, and we'll focus on that rather than his.
I think the biggest thing though, if it isn't for the fact he let him take one in general, if you let a 19-year-old take one in a European Championship final, you don't let him take the 5th one. Like that's just amplifying the pressure by about 1,000. Let him take the 1st or the 2nd. Like, if he misses the 1st, then it's fine. There's still a long way to go in the shootout. Yeah. I mean, Gareth has come out and said that it was his decision who took them.
Yeah.
And I think that's
a bad decision.
Yeah, because I don't know if that's just what all managers do now. I don't know if it's the best way to go about it. But if you're not feeling it at the time, surely you don't let them take one. Because they're going to be crapping themselves all over the place, especially if they're kind of chosen and made to do it in that scenario. I don't know how they choose people either, because they can't like don't know, like in training they can't just create that pressure surrounding them that they'll have in the final, can they?
No,
Like,
they do.
He deals with it well. That's not how it works.
No, they can never. They can know the quality of the take, but they will never know how players are under pressure.
They can see the quality of the take, but surely, as a professional footballer, putting a penalty in the bottom corner or the top corner should be pretty easy. And so therefore,
Kicking the ball that far, I'd find difficult.
Yeah. And so when it gets to...
Well, so did Harry Kane find it difficult. Yeah, he didn't do it.
He didn't bother.
No.
And so when it comes to that shootout scenario, surely you've got to just do it off the cuff at that point. Who's feeling confident? And if then there aren't enough people who want to take one, you pick the players who are most experienced or the players who play for the biggest club sort of thing. Because they will deal with pressure more often.
As England didn't win it, I have to say I think the best team did.
Yeah.
Not in like yesterday. I didn't think Italy were particularly brilliant. The fact that they ended up playing in penalties against England suggests they didn't do brilliant. But two other. One is I thought Italy. I almost said way back. I think you'll find on episode 2. I think you'll find us talking about me saying I think Italy were the best team to win it. I'd already got them down as favourites to win in my book. And the other thing worth saying is England only let 2 goals in, didn't lose a match, and didn't win the cup.
Yeah.
So that system doesn't necessarily work. On the other hand, Spain won a couple of games, scored 2 ton of goals, and didn't win the cup. Italy scored quite a few goals, let in very few, and they did win. Therefore, that would suggest to me you have to be able to score them as well. It's not enough just to keep the balls out of your net. You've got to be able to put them in the other end. And England couldn't score goals. And as much as people talk about Harry Kane and how many goals he scored, no, he was never going to score again, was he?
He scored against Ukraine. About it.
Yeah. And penalties.
Which he even missed.
Yeah. Have you got anything else you want to rant about him? When are we going to get rid of him? That sort of thing, maybe?
I mean, isn't he getting a new contract?
Well, of course he is. Hasn't he got one?
I think they said after the Germany game he's going to get a new contract. Which is a shame because it will mean that the prime years of Kane and Grealish and Sterling and all these type of players will go. And by the time we get a potentially decent manager, they'll be 30s.
Potential decent manager.
Well, this is another thing, isn't it?
Like who?
They have to be English for one thing.
Who would you pick? Just to have the interest.
I've always said about Wenger. He'd never do it, obviously, because it's England and he doesn't want to have to deal with everyone shouting at him again, which is fair enough, because Arsenal didn't exactly put it into place.
No.
But going off the FA thing, if they've got to be English these
Rooney.
days. Gerrard.
People don't know it. I don't know why I keep doing that. Gerrard.
Lampard.
Rio Ferdinand. Do you know, I watched it on ITV, not BBC. Yes, but that's about the first time I've ever, when something's on both sides, I've ever picked. I don't know whether it's sort of snobbery in some form or fashion. Well, the BBC, we own the BBC, don't we? I don't know whether it's got to do that, but I just couldn't bear the thought of BBC football commentators or pundits. I was not putting up with Alan Shearer and Rio Ferdinand.
I don't know how Jermaine Green got the final.
So I'd rather, much rather, ITV had all the best ones and the entertaining ones. And the great part was, I thought, when England scored, up on their little bit over the crowd. You'd got old Wright and all the others jumping up and down, bouncing around, and you'd got Roy Keane grabbing hold of everybody's coffee to stop it falling off the table. Look, he was the one that just walked around picking up the coffee cups, and I thought that was brilliant. I love that. Okay, competition. Well, who was your favourite player overall?
From England or just in general?
Now, we'll come back to England and we'll give them marks out of 10 in a minute for the competition. But we'll do that in a minute. Pedri was mine.
Yeah.
I thought he was brilliant.
He got young player of this one.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he? I thought he was good. I liked him.
He's going to be a Barcelona superstar. Well, Barcelona can afford him. Which they probably can't. Yeah, he was very good. Verratti for Italy was very good.
Yes. How did their goalkeeper get player of the tournament above these guys?
To win 2 penalty shootouts.
Because of his size?
I'm guessing. Because he's massive, yeah.
Because he's massive.
He's gone to PSG.
Okay, because he's big.
He's a good goalkeeper, let's be fair.
Yeah, he's a good goalkeeper who's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Unlike ours, who's 5'2" and has small arms.
And saved 2 on my
hand. And saved Jorginho's, crying out loud. No one saves Jorginho.
No. Could have easily been the hero, couldn't he?
Most teams these days normally score 4.
Sir Jordan Pickford could have been. Easily could have been.
I would have much preferred to sit here and say Sir Jordan Pickford is my favourite player, as opposed to having to go at Southgate picking the players he did.
Yeah. We're not having to go at the players here, are we? At all?
No, because it's not their fault.
No. So Pedri, yeah, and the Italian bloke, yeah, I agree. I just couldn't pronounce his name, so I couldn't say it.
Who else has there been?
Well, I thought that one of the other players that stood out for me was the Austrian.
Alaba.
Yeah, I liked him. I thought he looked, because he had to work flipping hard in that team. He had to do everything. He was the left back, the right back, the goalkeeper, and the centre forward. And I thought he looked well worth a few pounds.
Which is Real Madrid.
Well, there you go. He was worth a few pounds.
Schick.
Yeah.
Czech Republic was decent.
Yeah.
In terms of number 9.
Yes, we'll get and of course, Ronaldo gets the golden boot.
How has he done that?
Ronaldo's got the golden boot. Can you believe it?
He played 4 games.
Played 4 games, has got the golden boot, and I believe it's being sent first class. I don't know whether what sort of delivery, DHL or something.
I hope it's not Hermes. It won't come.
No, right. I mean, can you believe he got the golden? But Ronaldo got the golden boot for this competition. Amazing.
3 pens.
Yeah. Mind you, I mean, so did Kane get the golden boot
last time for about
penalties.
10 penalties.
Yeah.
You know, he's our highest ever scorer at major competitions now. He's overtaken Lineker.
Right. So who's next? Because I can't see he's going to be around for much longer. We're not playing like that. Who's going to buy him now? That's what I want to know.
It'll be very interesting to see if he goes anywhere. I wouldn't.
Oh, I did that again. I must stop doing that. No, he was.
Surely, if you're City, you wait for Haaland.
You would, wouldn't you? You would.
Unless City don't get Haaland and someone else gets him, which I doubt, then you go for Kane potentially. But even then,
so the silver medal that Harry Kane got goes along with what collection that he's got?
Didn't he win like the Audi Cup in pre-season once?
Right. So that can sit next to that medal.
Yeah. Because
what else has he won?
He's finished second in the League Cup a couple of times.
Okay.
He came second in the Premier League once.
Right.
Behind Leicester.
Okay. So I've got as many winners' medals as Harry Kane.
Maybe even more. I don't know what you've won, but you've probably won more.
What have I won?
You don't want anything.
No.
So but you've won as much as Harry Kane.
I've won as many things as Harry Kane.
And yet you don't get paid as much. Which is,
No. So, as an amateur, I've won as many football winners' medals as Harry Kane.
Well done, mate. Proud.
So, did you enjoy the tournament overall?
I enjoy the vibes and the fans and the general entertainment value that football provided. Did I enjoy our football matches? No.
No, not even. No, they weren't exciting.
They weren't very good.
Which was the one that stood out the most for you?
The game? France, Switzerland. That's the one I always remember. That was very good.
Mine was the Spain 5-3
against Croatia.
Yeah. The ball just never stopped going in the goal. I loved that game. I thought that was terrific.
The own goal as well was fantastic in that game.
I've never seen such a good own goal. 11, I believe, in the end. 11 own goals.
Not enough.
And the reason they think there's so many is because today the players run to the byline and kick the ball back, whereas they didn't used to. So there's more chance of it going in. I think that's an excuse, mind you.
Yeah,
but there you go. Talking of running to the byline, let's give our players some marks, and we might just finish there. Well, let's start at the back and work our way forward, because at least some of those players kicked the ball yesterday.
They did. Jordan Pickford.
Pickford. I thought this is competition, not game. We'll try and get off that game.
I give him an 8.
8 out of 10.
Maybe even a 9. He was very, very good.
Yeah, there was one game that he bothered me. And that was the semis, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely, he will keep his place. If you were manager, he would keep his place.
Yeah. Unless Henderson has a surge in which he's very good for United, then Pickford will stay.
Okay. Sure.
7. He was decent and provided the assists on a few occasions, and he got the goal in the final. So really, in terms of his attacking play, probably not an awful lot more he could have done. But I'm probably going to say 7 just because he has been unbelievably overhyped by the media. And saying that, and in which we're comparing him to Roberto Carlos, it's a bit like,
stop it. I'm going to put a mask on. Oh, stop doing that. Yes, okay.
Calm down.
Walker
has had his shaky games,
up and down,
either up here or down here.
Yeah, it's a bit.
Which probably means erratic. He gets like a 6.5 overall, 6.5.
Yeah.
Sometimes he was an 8 or a 9, and sometimes he was a 2.
Yeah.
So
Stones.
He was alright. He was solid. Give him a 7.
Yeah.
Didn't really make mistakes as such. No. And Maguire was probably just a bit better than him. So
except for yesterday.
I
thought Maguire wasn't. Well, I mean, Maguire can kick the ball on the pitch, could he?
No, but it's not like he had much option.
No. He was always going. They were always going to be pushed because Italy play a high line, which was a shame, really, in one sense, because that was perfect for putting the ball over the top, and we never did. Okay. So, meanwhile, where were we? Phillips.
How I've been
I think you've been harsh on him. I think he's mid Premier League table. Leeds perfect for him, and I thought he's done all right over everything. I think he's done all right. I would give him a 6 or 7 as well.
Yeah, I can back a 6.5 or 6.
Yeah.
I just like a little bit more going forward with my midfielders.
Well, it's difficult because he's been told what to do. He was told what to do, and he's a thumper, isn't he? Yeah. He's great at getting the player on the ground without getting a yellow card.
Yeah.
Rice.
He's actually quite good yesterday.
Yeah.
He was good yesterday. And then in a few games, he's definitely been outshone by Phillips. But I'd probably give him the same, probably 6.5.
They've done a decent job.
They've done decently, yeah.
Okay, now I don't know how many players we're missing out here, but I'm just thinking of a lineup. Next one, Kane.
3.
Yeah, 3. I'd give him a 3.
Why don't we give him a 4 for each goal he scores?
All right, 4. I think that's pushing it a bit.
That's actually kind of pushing it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I prefer 3.
I mean, when you think of any influence on the game whatsoever, then no.
No. Sterling, he's definitely been
8.
Yeah, he's been one of our best
stars.
Players.
He's been a star, hasn't he? Wasn't in the game at all yesterday, really. But over the competition, he has at times carried the team.
Yeah.
So he'll get my England
player of the tournament.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
Who else have we missed out?
We'll go back a little bit. Trippier. So the games he plays: Croatia, Germany, and Italy, and
the hardest games.
The hardest games, purely because we played the system.
Yeah.
He was good. He wasn't bad. I think he got probably a 6.5 or a 7 from me.
I'll give him a 7. I can't think of anything.
I can't think of anything he did wrong.
No, and he's had the hardest games to play in.
Yeah.
Where he hasn't been able to shine.
And he's just had to been, shoved in there.
Yeah.
Because of the system, and he's done it very well.
Yeah. Difficult to do all your Bellinghams and the like because they've not played enough. No. And the only other one, therefore, is the other guy that wasn't very good yesterday, Chelsea. Mount. He's going to get a 5 off of me.
Disappointing, has to be said.
I don't think he created anything.
No.
Ever.
You always had the fans saying, "Oh, we really need Mason Mount. We're going to miss Mason Mount when he had his COVID." We didn't. He didn't impact the team at all, in which we were led to believe he would do. No,
I suppose the last one to finish with is the poor lad, 19,
Saka,
who he started a few. He came on a few.
He was a spark in the games he played.
He was
one who actually you thought would make something happen.
Yeah, I'll give him a 7.5.
Yeah.
I will. I'll give him a 7.5. We can't do players like Grealish. Didn't have enough time to make too much difference. And so there's our finish to the in-game. And lastly, therefore, I was just about to say we must finish on the manager, simply because, as far as we're concerned, it was his fault we watched that style of football.
Mm-hmm.
It was also, to his credit, he did what he thought was right.
Yeah.
It was also, which often they don't, it was also to his credit that he was prepared to change the systems throughout the tournament to play certain teams. And I'm pleased to see that. That's great. I don't always agree with everything they do, but I never will.
No.
And he had a system. It almost paid off to win the cup. Do I want him as my manager of my country? No, I don't. I don't like that system. I think it is more than likely to fail, but so is everything else England have ever done.
Yeah.
I just think we could have walked away from this tournament having lost, having at least played fun, exciting football instead of losing by feeling like we sort of hid our head in a paper bag.
Yeah. You won't look back at the tournament and think, about moments that happened in games. You'll think about moments like that happened in the country as a whole.
I think we threw it away.
Like you'll get the fan.
Even if getting to the final like that, I think he then threw it away.
Yeah.
Through decision making.
There's a number of decisions that he made that were admirable, and he showed that he has a bit of knowledge about him in terms of being able to play a system and change a system in regards to which team you're playing. However, you're right in which I don't think it's the optimal way to get the best out of the players we have.
No. Therefore, how many marks would you give him? Would he go as low as Kane? Or
see, in my head, I was thinking 7, because let's be honest, he's got us to a final. But he can get a 7 if. But then, would I still sack him? Yes. Sack is a harsh word because he hasn't got us to a final, but I wouldn't want him as manager.
He's not going to be knighted.
Let's hope not.
I hope not. I'm trying to do as many facial expressions as possible rather than cry. All right.
How much do you actually care, though?
Well, I was going to give him a 5 because I'm not fussed one way or the other with his style of management. I just think it's
boring,
pointless. Because I think football is an entertainment and should be an entertainment. And the biggest question we've always had is, do you want to be entertained or do you want to win? Well, in this case, we weren't entertained and we didn't win. And so he's getting a 5 from me. And how much do I care? Well, I sat on my chair watching that game yesterday with my legs out, my arms folded, and it just emotional wasn't there. There was no emotion there, one way or the other. I was hoping we'd win, but there wasn't the emotion because I just felt that we just hadn't
deserved it.
No, I think Spain deserved it more than we did because at least they had a go at it. You know, I just don't feel we had a go at it. I think we almost landed in our laps through not letting the ball in the net. And I think football is also about scoring goals, and I don't think he thinks that.
I think there's I've completely forgotten what I was going to say.
I get emotional over Wickham, and I'm quite happy to win games we don't deserve at Wickham, and I'm happy to jump up and down on the terraces shouting at Wickham to encourage them. And on that last final point, where were the crowd at Wembley in that second half? Because I didn't hear anything. Did you?
No. There was more screaming from the house I was at in Beaconsfield than it was.
It was silent. And, do you know, I thought maybe this is the TV not giving the true noise. And I heard an interview with somebody this morning who was at the game, and they said you could hear a pin drop in the second half. In Wembley, you could hear a pin drop. And so I would just like to thank all the fans who managed to get their tickets to encourage England along at Wembley for that final, because you didn't do it. You didn't count. And you really should have been the 12th player, and you weren't even there. And I think that is shocking. You might have barged your way in. You might have paid the most for your tickets. You might be Tom Cruise to get your ticket. But in the end, you were no help to England.
And we, of all people, know how much help fans can be
in
the stadium.
Yeah, the fans at Wickham give Wickham success along with the players and the manager. Whereas I'm afraid whoever went to Wembley yesterday, I think I'm going to give a 2 out of 10 because, well, at least you sang the national anthem at the beginning, eh?
Mm.
And with that, we'll finish there, shall we, Kieran? And we won't be back now for a few weeks till August.
Well, we need to end on something that's
positive.
Wickham will be in the championship next. season after
I
this
thought they'd
one.
deducted points off
No,
Derby.
not yet.
No.
We're going to get promoted again without a striker and without a left winger, but that's fine.
Well, like this tournament. In fact, if Gareth needs to know
Yeah,
how to
we
play football
don't-
without a striker,
don't
this was
need
the
it.
perfect tournament.
Liverpool are going to win the Premier League. Man City aren't going to sign anyone this summer. Pep's going to be rubbish. Who else we like? Arsenal are going to get top 4. They're going to win the Europa Conference League. And
Oxford go down.
Oxford go down.
With
Colchester
Sunderland.
go down.
Sunderland.
Portsmouth.
They can't all go down.
4 of them can.
Oh, right, that's all right then.
So they can if they want.
Okay.
Even though I live there.
So with that, on that, I'll see you in something like about 3 or 4 weeks. Keep your eye out for the MJT's Monday Night Football show. We will be back probably about the week before kickoff. Kickoff is the 7th, I believe, and therefore we're talking about the Monday before. Okay, and so with that, we'll say goodbye and keep your eye out for our next show where we'll be really, really depressing and happy. Bye-bye.